Where there is love, nothing is too much trouble, and there is always time. Hello everyone, my name is Leah Choy, and this is my story. At the age of 3, I was blessed with the greatest gift of my life. My sister, Adele. She had finally come into the world, and I fell in love with her the second I held her in my arms. 2 months later, my family was hit with news that would change our lives. At 8 weeks old, Adele was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. She couldn't hear, feel, or see. And furthermore, the doctors gave her a death sentence, telling my parents she could only live for a year, which was devastating. At 4.5 years old, I decided that I wanted to do something to help Adele, because she is my one and only sister. I started baking to raise funds for her so that she could travel to the US every 6 months to receive treatment at the Institute for the Achievement of Human Potential. Adele is now 12 years old, turning 13 in December. And she is an extremely smart girl. She studies college-level agriculture and architecture. From being deaf and partially blind, she now hears and sees extremely well. She watches my every move and even laughs at me if I get a math or biology question wrong. Cheeky, right? Sorry. Back to my baking. I had absolutely no idea how to bake. Neither did my parents, actually. But I was a determined kid. I wanted to do everything I could so I could learn how to bake. So I watched countless YouTube videos, and I watched Cake Boss every Wednesday. There's not much you can learn online, but I tried my best. We then tried to bake some cakes from recipes we found on Google, and we baked cakes that didn't even look like cakes to begin with. And I'm pretty sure I used salt as sugar once, maybe twice. We then got a good recipe that we practiced and tweaked over and over again. We sold a couple dozen to friends and family who wanted to support my little business venture. We sold more and more cupcakes and other baked goods, and eventually that little business became much more. In 2015, the youngest recipient of the Tunku Baino Young Changemakers Award. I was being approached by large corporate companies such as Food Aid Foundation, Wasco, Sprouts, Baker Hughes, Kidzania, and many more. They wanted to share my story with the world so I could help Adele more. I conducted classes to kids and adults, and at the age of 7, I conducted a class to over 1,500 high schoolers in Jakarta. Then, in 2016, I was asked to write my very own cookbook. That book took 2 years, from taking pictures, writing, curating recipes, and designs. At 9 years old, I launched my book in Jakarta, Malaysia, and Brunei. That book is now available in all the national libraries of Malaysia. I met Buddy Valastro, and I was featured in an episode of Cake Boss, the show I grew up learning how to bake from. Not long after, I was approached by RHB. My story was used in their Chinese New Year's commercial. That video has since gained 8 million views worldwide, winning 7 major awards consisting of being the best in Malaysia, the best in Asia, and the best in the world at the 35th MAA Golden Globe Awards. But at the top of every hill, there's a slope that goes down. In August of 2018, Adele had her very first epileptic episode. The sight of her entire body shaking and her eyes rolling to the back of her head and her lips turning purple from the lack of oxygen scared me. I prayed every single night that I could take her pain from her, because I would rather feel the pain she's in 1,000,000 times over than to see her in pain. Then, in 2021, Adele nearly died. She had pneumonia and a brain stroke. And at that time, my family and I really thought we were going to lose her. She had to stay in the hospital for over a week with my dad. My mom and I would go visit her. And when we had to say goodbye, when visitation hours were over, I would say, "Bye-bye, Adele. I love you." I made sure that the last thing I said to her that day was, "I love you," because I wasn't sure if she would be alive the next day. This all happened during lockdown. We were hit with COVID, and I couldn't sell any of my baked goods because going out for deliveries would risk me getting COVID. And I had terrible, terrible COVID anxiety. Not because I was afraid of getting COVID, but because I was afraid that if I had COVID, I would pass it to Adele. And if Adele had COVID, she would die. If Adele died because of me, I wouldn't survive. Over the years, we've learned to take proper precautions with Adele's seizures. Seizures can be caused by just about anything, but for Adele, it's certain foods, alcohol, and even perfumes. So whenever we go out, we have to make sure we bring her rescue kit with us. If we go out for dinner, or even now, she has a rescue kit so that if she does get a seizure, we are able to save her. Growing up, I've always put Adele before myself. Our parents have always taught us to love unconditionally, and that's how we were loved. To put others before ourselves. And I think that's how love should be. Unconditional. But with that unconditional love comes pain. And with pain comes all the suffering. But it is such a rewarding thing to love and to be loved. Adele constantly prepares us for her death, saying, "I will die before the rest of you, so don't be sad. We will be reunited eventually." Pretty deep for a 12-year-old. What I'm trying to convey here is adversities can control you. Adversities can make you unsure of your next step in life. Adversities can slow you down. But no matter what adversities you face, you are in control of how you survive, how you take action, how you thrive. For example, I started baking at the age of 4. I started doing shows and interviews at 5. I was surrounded by adults for the majority of my childhood. I didn't have friends my age. I grew up too fast. I didn't have a normal childhood. But I never for a second regretted it. Because I did it, and I started working at such an early age because of my love for Adele, which is why I started in the first place. I'm now 15 years old, and I've been running my business for the past 11 years of my life. Just 2 months ago, I opened my restaurant, Terima Kasih. After all the adversities I faced, all the achievements, awards, interviews, shows, talks, workshops, and everything that I've done, I've realized that with all good things that comes in life, it comes with its fair share of adversities. But instead of letting my adversities define me, I use them as lessons to teach me things I wouldn't have learned otherwise. Oftentimes, adversities come with pain and suffering. But with pain and suffering comes love. And where there is love, nothing is too much trouble, and there is always time. I will now leave you with a video. Thank you.
Since I was a little girl, I have been taught to not let go of what I hold dear. Even when things got tough,
It's okay.
my sister Adele would always be around to keep me going. Adele used to go to faraway places for her treatment.
Good night, Adele. I love you. The big hat is me. The small hat is Adele.
And although we were often apart, we were always together in each other's hearts. With my little sister in my life, giving up was never an option. And slowly, things started getting better. So whenever I achieved something, Adele would always be the first person I share it with. Because it was her who made me the person I am today. And it is the love we share that gives me every reason to never, ever let go.